Hello everyone. Today I'll take you on a tour of this 2023 Kia EV6 and show you why it's one of the best electric SUVs on the market. Hyundai and Kia have been killing it with electric cars, and this Kia EV6 is really good. Thank you to Kia of Kirkland for providing me with this 2023 Kia EV6. Kia of Kirkland has all the latest Kia models. As you can see over here, they have new Kia Niros, they have Kia Sportages, they have Kia Sorentos, and other cool Kia cars. So show up at Kia of Kirkland and you'll be able to find multiple different cars here in Kia of Kirkland, an amazing dealership where you can find some of the latest cars, including this 2023 EV6. Alright, so let's go ahead and start off with the infotainment system in the middle here. And Kia has a app-based infotainment system. So as you can see, when you tap, it takes you to the navigation page, and you can zoom around and pan the infotainment system as you would if you were in any other car, and as you would on a mobile phone. But you can also tap the home button, so that's the home button right there, and if you tap that over here, it'll take you to your apps menu, and in this you see you have a lot of different apps to pick from. You have the EV app, which I'll get to in just a second, the map, the navigation menu, your phone projection, which is going to be Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, voice memos that you can store if you want to remember something, your climate settings, you can enable valet mode, and a bunch of other apps. And I'll go ahead and go through the more important apps later on. Obviously this car has all the default apps like navigation and the radio and stuff like that, but there are also a couple of cool ones which I'll get to after this segment. Alright, so one of the cooler apps in this car is obviously the EV app. This is an EV after all, it's the Kia EV6, so it does have an application to look at your EV statistics. So tapping the EV app there, it gives you this very cool page with the car, and you can see the battery at 75%. It shows you the nearest charging station, which is 470 feet because I'm at the dealership, and it also tells you how much range you have predicted left if you keep the AC on and if you keep the climate control off. So if it's on, it's 183 miles. If it's off, you get another 8 miles of additional range. So that's pretty cool, having that feature all right there so that you can just see what your EV is doing at all times. You can also enable scheduled charging and scheduled climate controls if you have a specific schedule, if you get to work every day, for example. And you can also use EV charge transfer. Another cool thing is when you're on a specific page, you can tap this button and that brings up another page, and you can actually use both. You can use the navigation screen and you can use the other page over here. You can also tap that to change the view of the map, for example. So overall, very cool feature. It's nice having that split screen feature, and also the EV statistics are very helpful. So here's another cool feature, that would be quiet mode. So the EV6 comes with this feature called quiet mode, and if you tap quiet mode, you can see over here, it explains that when quiet mode is selected, any kind of audio is only played in the front. And in the back, if you have some passengers, for example, that are sleeping, if you have children that are sleeping in the back, and you want it to be quiet back there so that they don't wake up, then if you use quiet mode, people in the back can comfortably sleep because there's no audio playing there, but you people in the front can continue listening to music or podcasts, etc., which is such a cool feature. I don't know, this Kia and Hyundai are two of the only companies that have that feature, and it's a very cool feature. I don't know why other companies haven't implemented it, but I think it'll start trickling down soon, and it's a very cool feature. So the last interesting feature that I want to mention on this infotainment system is the user profiles and Kia Connect system. So first off, let's go talk about Kia Connect. That's a specific app here. You can see Kia Connect, and this allows you to contact roadside assistance, visit calendar, you look at a calendar, look at weather, look at vehicle diagnostics, maintenance, etc. Basically anything related to the car. However, there's also this button over here on the top left. Tapping that takes you to the user profile, and you can customize the car based on who's driving it. So if you have a husband and a wife that's driving the car, and the husband has different priorities than the wife in the car, then the husband could have a completely different setup in the car, and everything could look very different, and it's such a cool idea. I think the user profile settings is cool. It's kind of an idea taken from computers and mobile phones, and that's the case here too. Very, very cool feature, and I really like that. Alright, so right below the infotainment system, we have our ambient lighting. And as you can see, we have this very beautiful looking ambient lighting. We have diagonal lines over there, and it also heads into the door panel. Below that, you also have your climate controls as well as your infotainment system controls. So on the bottom here, you have your climate controls, as you can see. But if you tap this top button, that takes you to your infotainment system controls. So now you can see all the controls are for the infotainment system. You can go to the map, etc. And it's all temporary, as you can see. You could go look over there, and then at one point it'll revert back to the climate controls because that's what's used more commonly. In the climate controls, we can see we have all our different options. You have our temperature, you can change the power, you can change your front and rear defroster, auto climate, you can change your circulating air, temperature, AC, fan speed, everything, all that is over here. And you can also see over here all these climate controls as well. So these climate controls are very helpful. It's nice to have all of them right here without having to go to the screen and dig around. Also, if you want to control the screen, you can also tap that button, and that takes you to your infotainment system controls. Very, very cool setup. There's been some criticism that the setup kind of distracts you, but to be honest, I don't really see the problem. I think it's fine, because most of the time you're planning to change the climate control. If you need to change the volume, just one extra key press. It's really not that hard. So I find the setup very intuitive, and it also uses less space than it normally would. I really like the setup. So below that climate control setup over here, you might have noticed there aren't any heated seat controls. That's because they're over here on this pad over here, as you can see. So if I tap the heated seats, oh, there you go. I just couldn't do it with the camera, but there you go. You can see your heated seats enable, and I can change that accordingly as well. Over here, I can also enable ventilated seats, which, by the way, has a different color. Nice touch here. And another cool feature is the heated steering wheel. So you can enable that, and that'll turn on the heated steering wheel as well. So it's nice having all these features in this car. Below that, you have a nice ambient lighting touch, and also the power button with an EV symbol inside of it. Pretty cool. So below the climate controls, you have the gear selector. Over here, you have a rotary dial, left to reverse, in the middle is neutral, and then to the right is drive, and by the way, neutral is slightly to the right. Park, if you hit that button, that's going to put you in the park gear. You also have the auto hold feature. You also have your cameras, I'll get to that in just a second, and you have your parking sensors. Over here, hopefully you can see that, you have a cup holder, another cup holder, and a little bit of storage behind that. And you have a wireless charger, Qi wireless charger, and you can also open this up. And as you can see there, you have a little bit of storage. So one of the coolest features that the EV6 offers is one of the best camera systems in the industry. And I've got to say, it is super impressive. Hit this P button, and on the infotainment system, you will see this camera setup. You have a top-down 360-degree view and a backup camera. If you tap this button, though, that takes you to one of the coolest camera systems. The 360-degree helicopter cam is how I like to call it. As you can see over here, so cool. It's crisp. All the graphics are simple, and you can also just move it around. You can see I could just do that, and I can look at my EV6 in every angle as if I'm like looking at it from the top with like a helicopter. You can see it's so realistic. On the side there's a Kia Niro. Over here, guess what? There's a Kia Niro. It's so cool. And on the other side, there is another Kia Sportage, and if I go to my left, guess what? There's a Kia Sportage. It is really, really cool, amazing detail with this camera here. You can also see in the front those three cars. Guess what? Those three cars are over there. Super cool feature. This 360-degree camera is amazing, and I really wish it comes into more cars into the future. So in case you're wondering, below this floating console, you have a little bit of extra storage actually. So you have quite a bit of extra storage down there to stick some stuff, and you also have a couple of ports here. I have a 12-volt outlet and a USB Type-C port down there as well. There's also another USB Type-A port and another USB Type-C, so there's a lot of charging options in this car. Overall though, this interior is very nice. It's looking around. I'll get to more detail about the overall interior later on. So alongside that center screen over here, you also have the gauge cluster screen. So it's all in this one big panel. So this gauge cluster screen is very customizable. So over here on the left, you have this button here to change what you're looking at, and this to change exactly what you're looking at within that page. So let's go ahead and hit this top button, and as you can see over here, if I tap that, it changes between multiple different settings. I have my navigation, there's my info page, I have a little bit of like a more generic kind of page with the speedometer on the left, and here's my trip odometer again. I can also cycle through the different statistics by doing that. Here's my navigation map, and here's my other statistics here like tire pressure, and you can see I can change around everything that I'm doing with that. So very customizable gauge cluster in this car, also tells me exactly what I'm doing. Very nice. So another feature is that this car is the GT line edition, so it has some special drive modes. If you hit this drive mode button, huge button by the way, if you hit that, you can see it changes the drive mode on the gauge cluster, and you can see I'm in eco mode, and I have normal mode and sport mode, and if I hold it, I also can go to snow mode, which is pretty cool, kind of Easter egg. But sport mode is obviously the setting I want to be in a GT line vehicle, and it also kind of changes the graphics, as you can see, kind of more red for the sport edition. Very nice. So another interesting touch here, there are paddle shifters in this car, and you might be wondering, okay, this is an electric car, how can there be paddle shifters? The answer is these paddle shifters don't control the gear, they control the regenerative braking. So on the left here, that increases the regenerative braking. On the right, that decreases the regenerative braking. So that's what these paddle shifters do. Alright, so let's go ahead and head into the back seat of the EV6. The car is unlocked right now, so as you can see, the handles are out. So if I just pull this handle, I can get into the back. So inside the back seat, I have a lot of room back here. There is more than enough room for me to comfortably sit back here. As you can see, there's a lot of leg room, and the headroom is also pretty impressive. As you can see over there, you can see my hand. There's quite a bit of headroom back here too. It kind of looks like this thing is just a long kind of wagon, but it isn't really. It has quite a bit of headroom, and it feels like a crossover inside. Over here, you can see we have a couple of storage pockets behind the backs of the front seats. You also have air vents on the sides over there. And in the middle, you have a center armrest. And this cool feature here, you have regular storage, or you can put this, and it becomes cup holder. So very, very nice feature. And another interesting thing to note, this car is electric, so there is no drivetrain hump, because it's electric. So if you sit in the middle seat, you're going to be just as comfortable in the middle seat as you are in one of the side seats in this car. So that's another benefit you get from this car being electric. Another cool feature, in the back, the side seats, not the middle ones, but the sides, will get heated seat functionality. The car's off, so I can't show you that it works, but it does work, of course, and you do get heated seats back here, which is pretty cool. But nice having heated seats in the back as well as cooled and ventilated seats at the front. So overall, very luxurious back here. Just a nice overall experience. Alright, so let's go ahead and head to the cargo area. There are two ways to open it back here. Actually, there are three. There's a button in the interior. There is the button on the key fob over there. And there is also a button underneath the trunk. So if I hit that button, as you can see, the cargo area opens right up, and in here there is a lot of space. There is a sloping roofline, so that could hinder cargo capacity a little bit, but it's not too bad. There's still quite a bit of space back here, definitely more than like a sedan. So if I lift up here underneath, there is a couple of extra things, as well as your charging kit, and you can also fold down the seats from back here as well. As you can see, there is a latch. If you pull this latch, that folds down the rear seat. So overall, very nice cargo area back here. Another interesting thing to note back here, you do have reclining seats. So on the side here, you pull this latch, and then you can see you can push the seat back, and now you're in a nice reclined position. Cool feature to have back here. Many of these smaller crossovers don't have reclining seats, but this one does, and that's pretty cool. Another cool feature this car has is the ability to move forward and backward using just a key fob. I can't show you because I don't want to actually move the car, but you see over here there are these two buttons that allow you to move the car forward or backward, and this allows you to move the car in and out of a tight parking space. So if you're like surrounded by compact cars, if you're surrounded in a compact parking space and you're just unable to get in, hit the button, let the car get out for you, and then you can get in Very cool feature, and it's nice having that. By the way, let's also talk about the key in the same segment. So you have the engine start stop button, the movement button for forward and back. You have lock button over there, kind of very cool. I like that, kind of like a very cool button on the side over there. The unlock button, the cargo area, and the panic button on the side. Overall, very nice key fob, and there's quite a bit of buttons on here, I'm just gonna say, but very, I think it's well organized. So let's go ahead and talk about the front end styling in this EV6, and it looks super cool. Looking at the headlights here, you can see they're very large. They pretty much take up the whole of the front of the car here. You can see you have your high beams over there. You have your daytime running lights down here, as well as your turn signals. Very large length, very long turn signals. As you can see, sweeps to the side. Kia logo is in the middle here. A new Kia logo. They redesigned the logo recently, I think a couple years ago, and it is on the new EV6. You don't get the old Kia logo. Also, around here, just looking at the front end, looks super cool, very menacing in this GT line edition. Also, this color, this red, looks super beautiful. Down here, the wheels are also amazing, as you can see here. Very beautiful looking wheels. You can see you have this 5-spoke wheel design, and they're also kind of covered to improve with aerodynamics and range. Here's a cool touch on the mirrors, as you can see, very beautiful looking side turn signals. As you can see, amber, very long again, very nice, very cool, kind of swooping turn signal over here. You also have a camera. Hopefully you can see that, but there's a camera there, and that's to monitor your blind spot. Coming around the back here, another beautiful looking styling. I can't really show you because behind me, yeah, but that's what it looks like in the back. As you can see, a very large light bar going across the entire width of the car. On the left here, as you can see, large turn signals over here pretty much take up the whole brake light, and it looks super cool. I really like that design, and it's also kind of continued, as you see down here, continues once again throughout the width of the car. And there it is on the other side. It looks really cool. Also down here, white lights to illuminate the path behind you. Looks super nice. There's also a spoiler. This is the GT line edition after all, so you do have a rear spoiler in the back. So here's what the EV6 looks like from the side. Once again, very nice. It kind of has like a wagon-esque look. It looks quite a bit like a wagon, but inside it doesn't even feel like a wagon at all. It feels quite a bit more like an actual crossover, because it is an actual crossover. It's just styled like a wagon, which actually I prefer. I think the wagon styling makes it look cooler and more sporty. By the way, here's a comparison to a Niro on the left. You can see about the same height, which kind of shows that this really is a crossover. It isn't a wagon, even though it looks like a wagon, which I personally prefer. Really nice. Let's also talk about the interior. So one cool thing to note, if you lock it, the handles go in. If you unlock it, they come back out. So if I open this door here, let's talk about the general interior. Very nice here. Good materials, and the seat is made out of this very nice fabric. I found it very comfortable to sit on. It is done this way to avoid leather usage in the car, and it is very comfortable and very nice seats. I really like the seats in this car. The steering wheel is also super nice, and as well as the twin infotainment system / gauge cluster setup. Just overall a beautiful look. So I know you might be wondering what's under the hood in the EV6, and the answer is that there is not much. There's some electrical components on the left, as you can see, some more on the right. There's a little bit of space, and as you can see, if I open this, you do have a little bit of space where you can stick like some very small items, like some bags and stuff like that, but like some small pouches, not anything huge. It's very small. The depth is about, I think, a couple inches here, and it's about like 1.5 inches over here, so it's not very large. But if you're on a pinch and you have some very small items that you want to store in here, well, you can. There is a little bit of space under this compartment, but that's what's under the hood in the EV6. Very little cargo space and mostly electrical components. Alright, and lastly, let's go ahead and talk about the details of this EV6. I know you guys are always looking for the details of the car, obviously the price, the range, all that stuff. So the EV6, this particular model, has Has a range from 252 miles all the way to 310 miles. Both very strong range figures, I've got to say. The 252 mile figures for the lower end EV6s, that starts around $45,000 to $50,000, and the upper end figures are for the $60,000-ish EV6s. This particular model is a $59,000 EV6 GT line, and it does come with a 310 mile range option. So this particular EV6 is well spec'd for 60 grand. Keep in mind though, you also do have the $7,500 federal tax credit, and you're gonna get a lot of savings at the gas, because you don't have to go to the gas pump at all. So when you combine all of that, this car is more affordable than you might initially think. So very good range, and also just a very nice car overall. $60,000 also keeps it in line with competitors like the Tesla Model Y, the Volkswagen ID4, and other competitors in this field. So overall, I think Kia has really struck it well with this car, both with this and Hyundai's Ioniq 5. Both amazing vehicles for the segment, and if you're looking for a sporty electric crossover at a very good price point with good range and good technology and pretty much a perfect all-around car, this EV6 should be one of the top choices on your list. It's amazing. And so there you have it. That's the 2022-2023 Kia EV6. This vehicle is just amazing. I've got to say, it's almost perfect. It has an amazing price. It has amazing technology. The range is good, the space is good, the styling is good, the performance is also really good, and like everything in this car is just wonderful. It's an amazing electric SUV to consider, and the hatchback styling, the hatchback wagon styling with the performance goodies just make it look so good. This Kia EV6 is truly amazing, and I've got to say, it's one of the best electric SUVs on the market. If you're in the market for a more affordable electric SUV, Kia EV6 is truly a great choice.